Welcome to In Your Business with Dr. Alex, where we get all up in your business and your health. Enjoy live interviews and solo sessions with experts in business and health, featuring your host, Dr. Alex Rosa. Let's get into today's episode.
Hey, welcome. Today's episode is all about weight loss, blood sugar, and gluten-free. Because I had somebody ask me today, a friend stopped over because her fridge stopped working. And so she had all this frozen food that she wanted to stick in my freezer. So we got to talking when she came over and she was like, Alex, have you ever done any videos about gluten-free? And so I told her, I said, well, recently I had a client who is gluten-free. I said, but typically I don't make a lot of content around gluten-free, in my social media. I said, but it's of course, something that I'll talk about if I need to. And it actually was really great because it really did kind of flow really nicely into some of the other things that she had some questions and concerns about, because she was asking me about some recent lab work that she had done, which was her blood sugar level was a little bit elevated. And then she is really wanting to take control of her health back. She's 51 and she's like, it's my time and I need to do some things to take care of myself. And so she's been following along with my content. And I just really enjoyed the conversation that I had with her earlier. And I knew it would make a really great video for today because it's probably a lot of questions that many women are dealing with and concerns that they have. And so the first thing that I wanted to address was the blood sugar. So she had some fasting labs done and her blood sugar came back, her glucose level came back 106. Now, 106 is not super high. It's not very elevated, but it's also not in an optimal range for somebody who is fasting. Okay, so there's two ways you got to think about it there. And so I asked her, I said, what did you eat the day before you had this lab work done, right? Because when you fast, you really only need to fast for like 12 hours for lab work. And that's not really enough time to undo all the things that you've been eating prior to that. So I said, well, what did you eat right before that? And she was like, crap. Like she just came out and said it. She's like, crap. I said, well, that's probably one of the causes right there, because the way the conversation went next was she does not want to be put on medication. And she was worried that that 106 level was going to have the conversation around medications with her healthcare provider. And I was like, well, I said, sadly, I said, even though your level is a little elevated at 106, I said, the doctor probably is not going to want to prescribe you any medication. I said, maybe when you get to like a 120 or a 30, I said, then they might want to do something. I said, but by that time, your A1C has been elevated for a long time. Your metabolism is really shot from unhealthy diet, from lack of exercise, from lack of metabolic flexibility. So at that point, you're going to have some damage already done from that. I said, whereas like right now, you're at a good level where you can really reverse and really change the direction that you're going into. So that's really the unfortunate part of a lot of healthcare right now, is that they're going to wait till you're in like that red danger zone before they're going to want to do any type of intervention. And then that type of intervention is usually going to be a medication instead of catching it early and teaching you how to reverse that and to change the course of it, really. So that's kind of the first direction that it went into. And then so I explained to her, I said, you know what you got to do to reverse that, right? Like, I know you're not dumb watching this. I know she's not dumb. I know she knows what she needs to be doing. So I came out and asked her, I said, you know what you need to be doing, right? To reverse that. And she goes, yeah, I need to eat better. And I was like, exactly. I need to exercise. Yeah, exactly. Those are the things that you need to do. I said, that's why it's very simple. It's very straightforward. You know what you need to do. Exercise, change your diet, eat less processed foods, stick to a whole food diet, real foods, one ingredient foods, limited ingredient foods. That's where you need to be focusing all your energy on. And then the conversation shifted into her friend who went gluten-free. And so she asked if I had made any videos about being gluten-free and what I thought about it. And I was like, okay. I said, well, there's only one of me, and there's so much content out there that I could create around health and wellness. I said, I typically don't make content on gluten-free, even though I did recently have a client who was gluten-free. I said, so I said, there's limited time of what I can, put my energy and attention towards. I said, but I'm very comfortable talking about it. I said, so, what's up? And so she said, well, she had a friend who went gluten free and they lost like 27 pounds, just like that. And she asked me, what did I think about it? If that was a good route for her to go. And I'm like, well, I said, there's a couple things you got to think about. Gluten free. Did this person go gluten free because they were allergic, because they had an intolerance or a sensitivity? So, right there, we got to pause, because those are three very different things: an allergy, an intolerance, and a sensitivity. Those are three very different things. And a true allergy to something is where you are going into like anaphylactic shock, right? You need an EpiPen, like you need it right away. That is a true allergy. Intolerance and sensitivities, those will give you different symptoms based on that. And a lot of people think just because they get diarrhea or they get like an upset stomach from something, that they're allergic to something. That's more of a sensitivity or an intolerance to something. So for somebody who has a true gluten allergy, they need to avoid gluten at all costs. So that's one way to look at it. So perhaps this woman had a gluten intolerance or sensitivity. Therefore, her body, every time she ate gluten, became extremely inflamed and angry. And therefore, she was getting bloated and having a lot of side effects that was causing weight gain and water retention. So just by cutting out the gluten, she decreased all that inflammation, decreased the water retention, decreased the bloat, and thereby had physical changes. Her body was able to release the weight that it was holding on to because it became a more stable environment. See, when you're intolerant to something or sensitive to something or even allergic to something, the more that you're exposing your body to that, you're creating a very unstable environment, an unfavorable environment for your body. So it's going to be really hard for your body to function optimally if it's not in a good state as it is. So when people remove, just like with dairy, when people remove certain things that are triggering for them, that trigger intolerance, inflammation, sensitivities in their system, their bodies start to come down into a more stable environment, and therefore it can perform a lot better, function a lot better, run and hum a lot better. So therefore, any other changes that you're going to make, you're going to see the results a lot quicker from. And that's exactly what happened to her friend. Gluten obviously was a trigger for her in some situation. I don't know her whole, medical history, her whole health situation, but I know that by creating a more favorable environment, by removing that gluten, allowed her to release all that weight very quickly and very easily. So then I turned it to the woman standing next to me, to my friend, and I said, so I don't know if you have a gluten allergy, an intolerance, or a sensitivity. I said, even without having to go through the whole thing about trying to figure out gluten-free, I was like, don't even worry yourself with that. Don't even go there. A better approach would be to just focus on a real whole food diet. Nothing processed, limited ingredient, one ingredient, whole foods. That's what you should focus on. I said, and just by focusing on that, you'll be able to hit that sugar issue that you have, because she was worried about her blood sugars. I said, you don't have to worry about going like sugar free. I said, because what happens when people want to go sugar free? They find alternatives or substitutions for sugar. And a lot of the products that are done like that are highly processed. So you just want to avoid that. And one really easy way to avoid that is just by going to a whole food, real food diet. Nothing crazy, nothing super complicated. Oh, I'm getting all tongue tied today. Anything complicated, just keep it simple. And that is actually one of the very first steps that I walk my private clients through, is let's just get your diet in check for like 2 weeks. Really start to heal and reverse things, create a more favorable environment inside of your body. whole real foods. I'm not trying to have you count calories. I'm not trying to have you log shit on an app. I'm not trying to have you portion control. That was one of the most surprising things one of my clients had, one of her like ahas when she started working with me. I told her, you can eat as much as you want of these types of foods. You absolutely can. And she was like, really? And yeah. And her results were incredible. I left her testimonial up a couple of days ago. Her name was Amy. She gave a great testimonial about how eye-opening it was to remove all of that stress and that obsession around food and tracking and just being more free and having so much more flexibility. And you absolutely can. It's just making sure that you're focusing on whole real foods. And it's a really great first step. If you've tried all the things and you're just so overwhelmed and burnt out from trying all the things, this is one really foundational place to begin at, to redo, to give yourself a do-over. Just start here and create a more favorable environment inside of your body. That'll allow everything else to flow so much easier for you. So this is what I explained to her. Don't worry about trying to go gluten-free. Don't worry about trying to go sugar-free. Don't worry about trying to go low carb and all these things. Just focus on whole, real foods. And everything else will just fall naturally into place. The lowered amount of gluten will fall into place. Lowered amount of sugars will fall into place. More fiber will fall into place. More of the good fats will fall into place. It's a very simple, simplified way to think about it. And that's what I would suggest to you if you're watching this and you're just very overwhelmed with all the things out there. Just go back to basics. There is nothing more basic than a whole, real food diet, whole food diet, real foods, one ingredient, limited ingredient foods. That's what you want to be eating. And even when you're making foods and cooking, you want to cook, you want to make your own food, you know what's going into it because you know that this was a real food and this was a real food and this was a real food and I put it together and I made this. You know what's in it. It's so much better for you. Such a simplified way to just get back to the basics. And so that's what I explained to her. And I said, as a result of that, the weight will start to release. You'll start to lose weight. Blood pressures will come down. Blood sugars will come down naturally on their own without having to be put on medications because they're just going to put you on a pill, put you on something that's going to lower your blood sugar, but it's also harming your kidneys, harming your liver, and it's not really addressing the root cause of why you are having these high blood sugars. The pill does nothing to address the crap that you're eating. I put it simply. So you have to address the food that you're eating. That is the root cause of it. The food that you're eating is part of your lifestyle. The lifestyle is the issue. So you need to get a hold of that. And simply by changing the food that you're eating, the information that you're giving to your body, because food is information. Food tells your body what to do. So we need to get that back running and humming a different way, telling your body something different to do. It gives your body little instructions. And then you also have to consider the stress and the other emotional, spiritual issues that go along with it. It's a very holistic approach. I'm not going to get into all those other things because that's more of what I teach and how I teach in my one-on-one programs when I'm working with women, in my wellness programs. We take a very holistic approach. And so this is just, a live stream video just trying to address one thing. And if you're going to address one thing, it's your diet. It's really looking at what you're eating. If you're, dealing with high blood pressure or insulin resistance, high blood sugars, metabolic syndrome, some hormonal issues. A lot of female hormonal issues are driven by insulin resistance, and not enough providers are telling patients this. They're not telling women this. And insulin resistance is very easily reversed through diet and lifestyle changes. Absolutely. Type 2 diabetes, very reversible. You do not have to remain for a lifetime on pills and insulin because you already know, if you got it, that your doses are just going up and up, and they start you off on a pill, then they up the pill, then they add insulin, and then they start upping your insulin and adding more pills, and let's add another pill, and let's give you more insulin. Well, let's try this other insulin too on top of that you're only going to take once a day, and then you take these other insulins 3 times a day or 4 times a day. It's just a never-ending cycle, and it's never getting to the root cause. And then with all these medications, you're just fucking up your metabolism. You're fucking up your body, your liver, your kidneys, all your organs are becoming damaged and slowly poisoned by years and years of medication. And no one is teaching people how to support end organ health. They're not teaching people the foods and the lifestyle and the supplementation and the therapies that you can use to support end organ health so that you can really detoxify your organs, your liver, and your kidneys naturally. One of the greatest ways to detoxify actually is just by eating a cleaner diet. Absolutely. You don't have to go through all these crazy detox teas and protocols and all this stuff. Just by changing your diet will start to detoxify your liver and your kidneys. Because what's going to happen? Let's break it down. You start eating better, the blood sugars start coming down, the blood pressure starts coming down. Then the necessity for medication starts to come down as well. So less medications, less toxicity on your organs, to the point where you no longer need these medications so that they're no longer impacting your kidney and your liver and all your other organs. It's very simple, but we're living in such a backwards model of healthcare right now, where we're not promoting these very natural things to support ourselves. We're just wanting to throw a pill, wanting to throw a Band-Aid, or we're throwing all this hella confusing information out there when so much of it comes back to how are we treating our body? What are we feeding it? How are we watering it? How are we using it? What are we allowing to influence ourselves, our emotional health, our spiritual health? Those all come into play when it comes to your health. And especially blood pressure is very much driven by stress and anxiety, right? I know for a long time because I was super stressed out, super anxious on all kinds of medications, depression, anxiety, blood pressure. And it just was a never ending cycle. It was just more and more they were trying to give to me. And I see that all the time with patients that would come through. More and more medication is being prescribed instead of really getting the cause of the issue. I saw my computer, hope it didn't go out too much. But just getting back to basics, the food, the nutrition. Just start there. That's even without kind of adding the little special sprinkles of IV supplementation or oral supplementation, about intermittent fasting. You don't even have to get into all of that. I'd rather you get to the basics, to the foundation first. That's really where you're going to create that strong foundation for yourself to set you up for success, to create that favorable environment inside of your body. Just start there. Start there. That's the easiest place that you can start. Then once you get that locked in, you get the nutrition, you get the lifestyle changes where you get a more active lifestyle and you're moving and you're grooving on a regular basis. Once you start getting all that into place and you start working on your emotional health and your spiritual health, all of it just will start swirling around you, honey. It'll just start working and just create such a favorable environment to where anything else we add is just, setting yourself up for that more optimal level of healthcare, for that more optimal level of wellness. And there's a lot of people that are really seeking that. And that's the people that I speak to, honey, that you want to get to that next optimal level of wellness. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that are just kind of starting and getting into it, or just really confused about all of the information that's out there. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It really doesn't. Don't worry about going gluten-free unless you got a super severe allergy, honey. You're going to die if you don't get a shot from being allergic to gluten, right? There's such a difference, going back to the beginning, between an allergy, a sensitivity, and an intolerance. Those are all three very different things. But anytime you have those, if you're continuously exposing your body to those things that are irritants to your body's going to talk to you. Your body's going to tell you. Your body's going to hold on to weight. It's going to retain fluid. It's going to be bloated. You're not going to feel well. Your body's not going to perform very well until you create a more favorable environment in your body. Only until you do that is shit going to start to work how you want it to work. are things going to start to go how you want them to go in the direction that you want them to go. And this goes right along with hormones. This goes right along with anti-aging, with longevity, with all of that. You want to create the most favorable environment that you can. Think about the ground. Think about what you're planting your seeds in. I'm a huge gardener, so I'm thinking about how I'm making my mulch and how I'm using my earthworm, the earthworm stuff and everything when I'm planting to create a really favorable environment in the soil so that the plant that grows from it will be beautiful and vibrant and gorgeous. That can happen for you too. Think about the body within, what you have inside of you, and what kind of environment are you creating for yourself. Because a super sick body, a super inflamed body is not going to perform very well. It's not going to release weight. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have the focus. You're going to hurt. I'm probably describing a lot of people out there right now that you have all these mysterious symptoms and your labs are fine. Oh, that's okay. We'll recheck that in 6 months. Okay, in 6 months, your ass is going to be type 2 diabetic instead of them teaching you what they could have taught you and reversed all of that. That happens way too much. Way too much. They wait till, and just like I told her with her 106 blood sugar, it's not bad, but it's not good. It's not optimal, but it's not bad. It's not to the point yet where they're going to put you on medication. I said, but right now you have the opportunity to reverse that, to get it back down to the 70s, to the 80s, to a more normal fasting glucose range. But what's going to happen is it's going to stay 106. Then you keep eating crap like how you just described. Like she said it, I ate crap. You keep eating crap, that 106 is going to turn into 126. That's going to turn into 136. Your A1C is going to keep raising and raising and raising. And you're going to get to the point where you're going to be type 2 diabetic. You're going to have metabolic syndrome. You're going to be type 2 diabetic. You're going to be insulin resistant. And then it's so much more of a difficult process to reverse all of that. Not impossible, but it's difficult. And the damage that has occurred from not addressing it, that you don't even want to go there. You don't even want to go to the damage to the liver, to the kidneys. You want to try to avoid that at all costs. So in the time it took for you to get to that 126, that 136, you could have reversed all of that and not had any of that damage. But again, it's possible to reverse the type 2 diabetes. It is absolutely possible. However, the longer you remain on insulin, the longer you remain on medication, the longer that you remain in denial, because I know there's a lot of people out here in denial about their A1Cs and about their blood sugars because they think it's just going to go away or they're not worried about it. They don't really understand the true consequences of these numbers, these things going unchecked. The damage to your nerves, to your kidneys, to your liver, how it's impacting your sexual health, your sexual wellness, how it's hardening your arteries, how it's causing plaque, sticky stuff to form in your arteries where you're going to have a stroke and a heart attack. Why your face sometimes gets all swollen up and blotchy and you got all these skin issues. All of these are a result of that. It's your body talking to you. And we want to cover it up. We want to do the makeup. We want to do the contouring. We want to get the little things to cinch in our waist. We want to wear the Spanx. We want to do all of this other shit instead of addressing what the real root cause is, what the real issue is. But we stay in denial because we don't want to face the truth. Even when we see it around us, in our families, in our relatives, we know what can happen to us because we see it. But we feel like either that won't happen to me, that won't be me. Even though you got all the signs, honey, you got all the signs of things going wrong for you, you still think it's not going to happen to you. Or something does happen to you. And then now you're in crisis mode because you realize how serious it is. And even sometimes when it hits and people are in crisis mode, they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed and they're being prescribed medications and they're being put into that system, into that cycle. that can seem never ending unless you get the right guidance, the right assistance, unless you hear the right information. And that's why I'm out here making these videos. There's such a better way to care for ourselves. There's such a better model of healthcare out there that's available to people, but it's not being promoted. It's not being taught. It's not being recommended because it doesn't involve pharmaceuticals, because it involves empowering people about their own health and about their own bodies and about what they can do naturally to support themselves. So much out there. But that's exactly why I do this, because I was in that system for over 2 decades. I saw all the shit that happened behind the scenes, behind the scenes to people. I've seen thousands and thousands of families destroyed by chronic lifestyle based diseases that if somebody would have taken the time to teach these people the right way, to intervene earlier when they're in their homes with their families, how their lives could have been changed. 100%. There's so much work that we can do on the ground like this that everybody has access to because you got a phone, because you got a computer, because you got a laptop. There is great information out there that can help you. But it's hard to get through the noise. But again, we don't stop. We keep going. I keep going. I will never stop teaching and sharing this information. And that's why I ask if it's helpful, share it with a friend, share it with 2 friends. Let people know what you've learned. Because even the friend that I talked to today, she said, now every time I go to eat something, I'm going to think if this is a fake food or not. Is this fake? And she said, I'm going to hear your voice in my head saying that every time. And I'm glad. I want you to be doing that. I want you to be hearing my voice in your head when things are coming up for you. You are so capable of changing your life and changing the trajectory of your life and your family's life. You can be that generational illness breaker, honey. I am. You can be one too. The things that I share are very easy. They're very actionable for you, for people to implement. You just have to take the action. Don't wait for motivation, because motivation that's a whole nother video for another day, motivation. No, you must take the action first, and the motivation will follow after that. Take the action first. Very easy things that I teach, that I share. I try to break it down as simply as possible so that you can implement this in your real life. And speaking about implementing things in your real life, I have a free live masterclass coming up called The Art of Biohacking for Women Over 40. We're going to be focusing on fat loss, hormone health, and anti-aging, longevity, specifically for women over 40. And it's going to be a really great 3-day live masterclass. At the end of it, I'm going to have a live Q&A session so you can ask me questions. I will give you the answers in real time. Any question that you have related to what we learned about, what came up about for you, personalized recommendations from what you learned in the class, and how you can start implementing it and applying it in your life. And I really want you to be involved in it. I really want to see you there with me to learn. Bring a friend, bring 2 friends, the more the merrier. Obviously, like, we need to be teaching more about this and talking more about this. And biohacking, some people might not even know what biohacking is, but it really is just a way of taking a more holistic view of your health and implementing the changes, where we're using technology, we're using food, we're using supplementation, we're thinking about yourself in a more holistic way, because the way I teach, and you can see it in my little thing there, spice, right? It's the framework that I created. So thinking about yourself in a holistic way. So the spiritual, the physical, insight, career, and emotion, these are all areas that impact our physical health. And so I always teach from that holistic framework, that standpoint, spice that I created for myself and what I use with my clients. So we're going to be taking all of that, and that's really kind of what biohacking is. It's just using all of these different methodologies, these different modalities to really elevate and optimize your wellness in a natural, holistic way. And anybody can do this. And that's why I'm teaching about it. I'm going to be teaching about very actionable things that you can do for yourself and for your health, especially if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with hormonal changes, you're dealing with weight and health and really wanting to elevate and optimize. Then this is the masterclass for you. It's free. I'd love to see you there. I'm going to drop the link in the comments so that you can go ahead and sign up. I have a little Google Doc. You can go ahead and get signed up for it. I don't have the dates exactly. It's going to be coming up though within the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to have it live. You can always watch the replays, but I really want you to be able to attend the live Q&A session that's going to go along with it, so you can ask your questions in real time and get to know me, and I can get to know you. I love to get to know the people that follow me that are in my world here in the on the web and everywhere that follow me, because I'm meeting new people all the time. So, and I love to just have these one-on-one interactions. And that's kind of what my friend had asked me today. She was like, do you do any like workshops or talks or anything like that? And I was like, well, I'm going to do one pretty soon. Online, so that way people can get to know me and talk to me and have this experience that we're having, have it with them and have it with more people. So definitely things are coming along for me and how I want to share and get to meet people and teach. So I'm always open to ideas though as well. But I would love to see you at this masterclass I'm be holding. Again, it's called Mastering the Art of Biohacking for Women Over 40. And I think that's a hot name. So I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to see you there. I want to personally invite you. Again, I'll leave the link so that way you can sign up for it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me, make a connection with me, say hi, say, hey, I saw your video the other day and you mentioned that biohacking masterclass. I'd love to know more information about it. Or, hey, I watched your video the other day and I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z, and I'm really ready to take my health to the next level. I really love to learn more about your one-on-one programs and how I can work with you. Very easy. Look, I just laid it out for you. That's all you need to do. I would love to make a connection with you and let me know what's going on in your world with your health. What are you dealing with? What can I help you with? What can I make content around that would be helpful for you? Because everybody thinks it's all about losing weight. Everybody thinks it's all about losing weight, but it's really, there's so many other components to it that impact that. And it's very frustrating for me to see women kind of fall for these lose 5 pounds, lose 10 pounds, but it's like an endless cycle of things, or try this and try that. And it turns into an endless cycle. Look at, I might have a little thing right there, I think. An endless cycle of just trying this and trying that. And actually, so much of the yo-yo diets and the crash diets that we put ourselves through as women, that shit does more damage to your body over time than a certain type of illness does, or a certain type of disease. Honestly, in all reality, putting yourself through that over the years and then continuing to do that does so much damage to your body. Really does. Like, if you're over 40, honey, you ain't 20. So why are you still doing the same stuff when you were 20 and still trying to do it and fall for the same patterns over and over again? There needs to be a pattern, interrupt. And that's exactly what I do with my programs. We totally change how you think about yourself, the things that you're doing, the things that you're feeding your body, how you're feeling about yourself by your activity level. Honey, we break it down. We break it all the way down. And we really create something tailored and customized to you, for you, based on your biology. Because, honey, everybody's different. Everybody's going through different seasons of life. We've got different genes that are being expressed. We've got all kinds of stressors, outward, inward, all the things, different things that we've been exposed to, toxicities. There's so much to take into account. And I love personalized medicine, personalized healthcare, customized healthcare. I absolutely love that. And I know that that's the direction that healthcare is going in. And that's absolutely where we need to be going in, because it's not a one size fits all. And so many of these medications that we have out here are, how many of the trials? The trials are usually done on men. A lot of the medications from the past that we continue to use, those were all based on men. There's only one dose that they prescribe, and it's based on men. There are very few medical trials that are done on all women, and then even on women of certain age groups, right? And that's really how we need to think about that, because a 20-year-old's body, a 20-year-old female's body functions very differently than a 45-year-old female's body. Absolutely does. Every organ, every piece and part of her performs differently. So why are we prescribing a one size fits all for every single person? It makes no sense. And it makes no sense that we're just throwing things at people without knowing their different micronutrient requirements. And you can become allergic to things later on in life. You absolutely can become allergic to things later on in life. And like, I recently discovered I was allergic to some things too. I'm not going to go into what they are, but I recently found that out. So our bodies are changing all the time. And so many people are trying to go based on one set of lab work that they got when they were like 25. And they think that that's like the rest of their life and how it has to be. And it's like, no, your body changes over time. So you need to be aware of that and in tune with that. And then looking at any lab work that you get, any test results that you get, you need to be looking at them through a functional wellness lens. You absolutely do. Not through a traditional medical model, but through a functional lens. And looking at it through there, because we want to get you to an optimal level and want to catch things early and reverse things. But traditional healthcare, the medical model that's out there now, is just going to look at what you got and wait till it gets to a certain point, and then we're going to worry about it. Not let's try to intervene. No, let's not try to reverse. No. Now you should try this. This is natural. This is natural. This is natural. You should try this first before we give you this. No, nobody's doing that. It's always waiting until you need that medication and then keeping you on that medication, right? It's maintaining your illness, prolonging it. That's all it's doing. It's doing nothing to reverse or to reduce the amount of medications that you're on. So we're setting people up for failure through the traditional model. So I said, through this new model, this concierge, this personal healthcare model really empowers you to take control over your own health. And that's exactly what I do through my practice. And that's exactly what I teach to all of my clients, to really empower you to take control of your own health. So when I'm working one-on-one with you, we get very personal. We get very detailed to your exact specifications, very customized, very tailored for you based on your medical history and also where you're wanting to go. What are your goals? Not everybody's goal is to have a fucking six-pack and be shredded. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of programs out there that are promoting that. And if that's what you want, go for it. Go for it. Absolutely go for it. I'm not hating on that at all. But for the majority of people, they are dealing with metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, hormone issues. They're missing pieces and parts of their digestive system, and nobody is telling them that doesn't matter how many pills you pop, any supplements, powders, anything you drink, it's never going to be enough for you because you are missing those pieces and parts. You have a disruption in your digestive system. So nothing is going to get absorbed optimally in your body, no matter how much you take, unless you switch to IV hydration of vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. Then your body's going to get everything that it needs, because that truly bypasses the digestive process, gets directly into your bloodstream, gets directly into your cells, goes exactly to where it's supposed to go, and acts immediately. But not a lot of people know that. So these are the women that I deal with: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, pre-diabetic, type 2 diabetes, hormonal, PCOS, chronic fatigue syndrome, inflammation. These are all the areas: stubborn weight gain, inability to lose weight, fatty liver. I've made other videos on fatty liver before. These are all areas where you can receive some very specialized support by me, working with me one-on-one, using the method that I have. We use the spice, we get into all the areas of your life, but then we also do very detailed testing and assessments and customization of a plan for you to help you really achieve that optimal level of wellness that you're looking for. Help you with your sex life. I got a whole thing about sexual wellness and libido all up in my questionnaire when you want to book a call with me that asks about that, because I know that's a huge area of women's life where they don't want to talk about it, and there's not enough really great information out there. There are some people talking about it, but there's not enough, because some people don't want to come online and talk about what I talk about sometimes, but I don't care. I go there. I go all the places. so so this has been a long video today. I didn't mean for it to go this long, but there's been a lot on my head and my heart, on my mind, and then especially with that visit I had today, I just really wanted to talk about all of this because there's so much more coming, exciting for my practice, for you, and the content that I provide. And the masterclass is kind of like the first step. So again, I really would love to see you at my live masterclass, Master the Art of Biohacking for women over 40, fat loss, hormone health, anti-aging, longevity. We're going to dive into it all. It's going to give you step by step what you need to do. It's going to give you lists of tests, supplementation, things that you need to be asking for, things that you need to be getting for yourself. It's going to have all the things in it. It's going to be really good. So I'd love to see you there. And that's it for my video for today. So like I always say, for a balanced life, just add spice.